Welcome to the Cyber-Cognition video, titled Bias and Perception in Content Moderation. This video explores the issue of bias in content moderation and the ways in which perceptions of bias can affect public trust in online platforms. It covers the challenges of addressing bias in moderation, the role of user feedback in identifying bias, and the potential for bias to be reinforced by algorithmic decision-making. Bias in content moderation has become an increasingly important issue, particularly as online platforms are expected to maintain a safe and respectful online environment for all users. Perceptions of bias in moderation can erode public trust in platforms and lead to accusations of censorship or discrimination. It is important for platforms to address bias in moderation to maintain user trust and ensure that content moderation practices are fair and consistent. One of the challenges of addressing bias in moderation is the subjective nature of determining what is considered harmful or offensive content. Moderators may bring their own biases and perspectives to the decision-making process, leading to inconsistencies in content moderation practices. For example, a moderator may be more likely to remove content that aligns with their political or social views, even if it does not violate the platform's community guidelines. User feedback can play a crucial role in identifying bias in moderation. By allowing users to report content that they believe is being unfairly targeted, platforms can identify patterns of bias in moderation practices and make necessary changes. For example, Twitter had launched a program that allowed users to provide feedback on the platform's automated content moderation systems. In addition, algorithmic decision-making can also reinforce bias in content moderation. AI systems used for content moderation may be trained on biased datasets, leading to biased outcomes. For example, YouTube's content recommendation algorithm had been criticized for promoting extremist content due to the algorithm's emphasis on engagement metrics rather than the accuracy or quality of the content. One example of the potential impact of bias in moderation can be seen in the case of Facebook's real name policy. The policy required users to use their legal name on the platform, which some believed could disproportionately affect users from marginalized communities who may use pseudonyms for safety reasons. This policy was seen as discriminatory by some users, and Facebook eventually modified the policy to allow for more flexibility in how users could identify themselves on the platform. In conclusion, bias in content moderation is a complex issue that must be addressed to ensure that online platforms are able to maintain a safe and respectful online environment for all users. By addressing bias in moderation practices, platforms can maintain user trust and ensure that content moderation practices are fair and consistent. The role of user feedback and the potential impact of algorithmic decision-making must also be taken into account to improve content moderation practices. This concludes this video in the Cyber-Cognition series on content moderation. In our next video, we will discuss context and corpus analysis in content moderation. We hope you will tune in and remember to always take control and be your own agent of change.